Hello there, this is Mike Graham from MRM with another episode of Affiliate Tips educating beginners and intermediates in internet marketing. Now, in the last episode, I was talking to you about the perfect business model and the perfect entrepreneur and the various facets of the perfect entrepreneur's personality which he had to bring to bear in putting his business together. Now, the perfect entrepreneur, in keeping with the ramifications of the perfect business model, would be somebody who'd ask the experts' advice on any number of things that are involved in affiliate marketing, such as if he wanted to know about how to do advertising, he'd find himself an expert in how to create the best ads, whether it was paid ads or free ads. Again, if he wanted to learn copywriting, he'd ask the expert in copywriting. If he wanted to find out what was the best way of putting together a sales funnel, then he'd go and ask the expert in sales funnels. And I have to say, I've had sort of expert advice in all of these three fields from people who are accredited experts. Now, this does not make me by any means a perfect entrepreneur, but it does show that I am trying to learn how to be at least a reasonable one, because the knowledge I take is from founts of wisdom rather than pools of foolishness. Now, if I was to go down and ask the man in the pub about these things, then I'd probably get a whole load of different advice from him. Though, I wouldn't rule out a bit of common sense and savvy. It's said actually the best way to advertise something you have to for sale, if it's a physical thing, is to put a board outside the house where you live saying that you have this item for sale. For instance, a horse. If you have a horse for sale, then have a board, say a chalkboard outside where you live that says for sale, one horse, apply within. And that's the most likely thing to get people in through the door to actually look at the horse you're selling. And I think in order to understand, say, advertising, you have to look at it first of all in terms of what would you do in the physical world. Billboards, advertising on television, they're all ways in which people do advertise the items they have for sale. Or notices in shop windows or other notice boards where people go and have a look. If you have accommodation to rent, you can advertise in a local paper, you can advertise in newsagents' windows, you can advertise on the internet, and so on. Now, with digital products online, the parameters of what you're dealing in are slightly different, and very often you have to persuade people who are looking for something to sort their problems out online, that actually you do have a product which is suitable for them. It's not as straightforward as finding accommodation, although it can be. Therefore, you have to develop the marketing skills which make it possible for potential readers to recognize that you are dealing with the particular problem that they're manifesting, and that you know what the solution to their problem is, and you actually have the best solution. And advertising is generally like that. Now, in terms of getting traffic, in an ideal business, the traffic is there, and you know how to find it, how to put your material in front of it. And, to be honest, getting traffic is the number one problem for most marketers. So it is worth looking into in some depth. I mean, both for myself personally and for you, if you're listening, because there's no point in having any number of people looking at your advertising who have absolutely no interest in what it is that you are advertising. Where if you're advertising dating products, say, how to find the right partner or so on, you actually have to make sure that you're not just showing your adverts to a load of married people or to people that don't want relationships and never would, or to a bunch of children. So, I mean, that's the number one point, mate, is to get the notices of what you're advertising in front of the right people, the right sort of people. And certainly on a platform like Facebook, you can't do that. You can't actually put down the specifications of what makes the sort of person you want to reach actually be reached. And again, are they the sort of people that would take advice on dating from somebody they'd never met? Well, probably not. Then you have to engage in the process of know, like, and trust. I think this problem of getting just traffic into your business is a matter of knowing where to advertise, how to advertise, and having the best marketing tools that people can come across. But beyond that is actually making sure that they are aware that you are advertising in some way. And I think this is probably the sticky bit. Personally, I find it the sticky bit. Actually getting notification that this is actually, that I am actually doing this work and the material is available to have a look at. For instance, I create these videos. They're sort of part of my strategy, making online videos, in which I produce a degree of content about marketing subjects, which would be helpful to somebody who wanted to learn marketing sort of as a beginner, or maybe not quite as a beginner, but wanted to fill in an information gap so they could move on in their business. And I do find that my problem here is actually getting the content I put down out in front of the eyes of enough people. And I'll say that straight up. This is my number one problem with traffic. I don't mind making videos. Actually, I quite enjoy it. It's a bit of a laugh. Coming up with content for them. And, just developing my own particular style. And from this point on, it becomes harder because you can create all the content you want, but if not enough eyes see it and not enough ears listen to it, then you're going to be missing out on something because the people won't have come to look at what you're doing. Or if they look at what you're doing, they may skip over it because there are so many other videos that they can watch. So in this, I'm sort of relying on the fact that people twig onto the fact that somebody who's at a lower standard, say, than the truly advanced marketers may be able to offer some advice and tips that are more useful to somebody else who is themselves at a beginner stage, because they're more in tune with what's going on in the beginner's mind. Whereas if I was sitting outside with my Rolls Royce and talking about how I'd made it, I'd be in a fairly remote position to offer advice to a complete beginner. Yes, the Rolls Royce would be very nice and it would be a huge incentive, but it's all a little bit way out of the beginner's reach, the person who's struggling with marketing. And it's better to sort of go and get advice of somebody that's in a similar situation to yourself, who hasn't been that long beyond the place where you are at as a beginner, if that makes sense, or if to repeat myself. I do think that people get better advice from those who aren't that further advanced than themselves than they would do from somebody that's made sort of $20 million online marketing. Anyway, those are my thoughts for this episode, and I hope you give me a like or subscribe to my channel If you've listened to this, leave a comment by all means. And please go to the link below and get yourself a free traffic report which talks about getting targeted traffic. As that is probably one of the main things you have to learn in marketing. Anyway, till the next time, this is Mike Graham signing off, and thank you very much for listening.